Last month, one of the most powerful countries in this world, USA, reached its credit limit, which shocked the whole world.
U.S. Treasury Department announces the U.S. has hit its debt ceiling.
The country has reached its borrowing limit and is now in danger.
Healthcare accounts have also stopped, all because the U.S. has reached its debt limit.
The high stakes of USA debt ceiling and default. Imagine a world where the largest economy in the world, the United States, suddenly defaults on its debts. The domino effect would ripple across the globe, sending shockwaves to economies and financial markets. The clock is ticking, and the stakes are high. As the US approaches its debt ceiling crisis, are we on the brink of financial disaster? In this exciting video, we're going to talk about the US debt ceiling and its consequences. Watch this video till the end, and make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, so that you'll be notified of cool upcoming videos. The US government hit its borrowing limit last week on January 19th, prompting new monetary concerns when most nations are anticipating a stoppage in financial development. The US organization has practically begun executing measures to keep away from any default, which could devastatingly affect both homegrown and worldwide economies. So, without further delay in this video, let's get straight into the video and show you what is the USA debt ceiling and its impact on economy. USA debt ceiling. The debt limit, also known as the debt ceiling, is the statutory limit for the amount of money the US Treasury can borrow in the form of securities, including bills and saving bonds, to finance existing federal operations. This may include spending by the US government on Social Security and Medicare benefits, or paying salaries and meeting other financial obligations. Under the US Constitution, only Congress is authorized to set the amount that the US can borrow. This is done through a vote. In the last such vote in December 2021, the debt ceiling was fixed at $31.4 trillion. US debt hit the ceiling on January 19th, raising concerns among corporate leaders of a potential political standoff that could come down to the wire and unsettle markets. The US has touched or neared the debt limits at least 20 times in the past 20 years because of a host of measures by both parties when in power, including higher spending or tax cuts and lower revenues during various economic crises. Do you know that why this debt ceiling often being raised? Why does the debt ceiling have to be raised so often? The debt limit has been modified 20 times since 2002, most recently in December 2021, when the previous limit was increased by $2.5 trillion to meet the rising borrowing needs and ensure the US government avoids a default. So far, Congress has undertaken a variety of steps to deal with the situation. It has either increased the debt limit to allow for increased federal borrowing, or, since 2013, temporarily suspended the debt limit 7 times. Over the years, the US federal debt has increased sharply. With 2001, the last fiscal year, US government funds ran a surplus. Then the government's gross debt stood at $5.8 trillion. Accounting for about 55% of the country's gross domestic product, GDP. US debt has grown to a range of tax cuts, government funding of wars, along with a drop in revenues as a result of the 2007-2009 financial crisis and the COVID-19 pandemic, both of which led to monetary and fiscal responses, including slashing interest rates to near zero and stimulus spending to revive the economy. This has led to a growing gap between fiscal spending and revenues. As per estimates by the Congressional Budget Office, US fiscal deficit will rise to 6.1% of the GDP in the 2032 financial year, compared with an estimated 4.2% of GDP in the 2022 financial year. This means the government would have to borrow more to meet its spending needs. A huge part of this projected deficit will be due to the interest rates on debt, which alone would account for 3.2% of GDP. How many times has the debt ceiling been raised? According to the US Department of Treasury, the debt ceiling has been raised, extended, or revised 78 separate times since 1960. This occurred 49 times under Republican presidents and 29 times under Democratic presidents. Did you know all of this before? Please share your ideas in the comments and stay tuned, because something interesting for you is also coming upon this video. Consequences of debt ceiling breach. A breach of the debt ceiling in the United States would have significant consequences for both the domestic economy and the global financial system. At the domestic level, a debt ceiling breach could lead to a government shutdown, causing significant disruptions to the public services and the economy. The government would also be unable to pay its bills, including interest payments on its debt, potentially triggering a default. This could lead to a sharp decrease in the value of the US dollar, a spike in interest rates, and a decline in consumer and business confidence. This in turn could lead to a slowdown or even a recession in the economy. At the global level, a US debt default would have a major impact on the stability of the international financial system. The US dollar is the world's primary reserve currency, and a US debt default could call into question its reliability as a safe haven asset. This could lead to a shift away from the US dollar as a reserve currency, potentially causing a decline in its value. So without making you wait any longer, I'll tell you what would happen if the US get default. Here's something you won't expect. What happens if the United States defaults on its debts? A default on government debt, which sits at almost $31.5 trillion, would send shockwaves through global financial markets as confidence in US borrowers falls. Credit analysis from Moody Analysis predicts that a 4-month default would shave around 4% from US GDP. See stock prices fall by a third, and companies slash nearly 6 million jobs. Furthermore, its analysis reveals that a default on US Treasury bonds could lead to a downturn similar to the GDP. A breakdown in the perceived trustworthiness of US Treasuries would almost certainly lead to sharp falls in the greenback and exodus of US investments by foreign investors. Even coming close to default has the potential to unnerve financial markets. In 2011, former President Obama and House Republicans narrowly averted reaching the debt ceiling, which saw stock prices plunge and volatility spike, prompting credit agency S&P Global Ratings to downgrade America's credit rating for the first time. Furthermore, the crisis also dented consumer confidence and small business optimism. As well as creating economic uncertainty, a US debt default would impede the government from carrying out critical functions, such as issuing social security benefits, maintaining national defense, and adequately funding the public health system. This was all for today's video. See you soon in the next video. You enjoyed this video? Well, we would love to hear from you about how much you enjoyed it. Feel free to leave a comment and let us know if you enjoyed the video. Be sure to subscribe to the channel so that you can see some more awesome videos like this in the future. Thank you.